All right. So we're going to finish this D4, and then we'll get moving to maybe a D8, and then we'll talk about what maybe what the rest of the projects should be. So with this D4, we know we have half of it now, right? We have two sides, and a D4 is four sides. So we're going to hit D on the keyboard to duplicate, and then we're going to rotate it around. Now it's going to be really, really hard to line these up. Whoa, it's way off base. It's going to be pretty hard to line these up with exactly where they go. But we have the object join, and we have the mesh combine, or the merge rather, the merge vertexes. So I'm going to select these two vertexes and say mesh, merge at first. These two, mesh, merge at first. These two, mesh, merge at first. And then the last thing is, maybe I messed up, maybe I grabbed the wrong ones, but that's okay. I'm going to go to face select 3, select that face, and delete the face. So now I have a four-sided die, but one of the sides is missing. But that's okay. We can now come to the edge selection tool, which is 2 on our keyboard, or we can always click up here. And grab the edge, and I'm going to extrude it. Once I've extruded that one edge, I can come back to select these two vertexes and this third one. So now I've selected 3 vertexes, and I'm going to go to mesh, merge at last. And it's going to take all 3 of those vertexes to get up to that one. And that's a four-sided dice, or at least near enough for what we are doing. Might want to make it a little bit bigger just to make it as big as the 6-sided die, but that is up to you. So 6 sides and 4 sides. The next one we want to make is an 8-sided dice. And we'll go through this one, and then we'll leave you to kind of your own devices on the 12-sided die and the 20-sided die. Get as much done as you can. Just see kind of how that goes, and we'll work with it and see what you come up with. But for the 8-sided die, which is going to be pretty similar, I guess, to the 12-sided die. But we're going to start off by adding just another cube. Again, I always like to add a cube. And we're going to turn this into 8 sides. So the way that an 8-sided dice works is basically it's 2 pyramids kind of stacked on top of one another. I don't have one here necessarily to show you, but it's 2 pyramids stacked on top of one another. So to represent that, I'm going to select this face here, and I'm going to mesh, and I'm going to merge at center. So that gives me my pyramid with 4 sides. I'm going to delete this bottom face. So an open face pyramid with 4 sides. I'm going to go back into object mode. I'm going to duplicate it by pressing Control D, and then I am going to flip it so that it is pretty much a one-to-one copy. And then I'm going to move that flipped version down. And that gives me an 8-sided dice. And you can imagine what we're going to do here. We're going to select the 2. We're going to object. We're going to join. And then we're going to select the vertexes here. And probably they are pretty close together. So I should be able just to select the 2 of them. Yeah, and as I zoom out, they are really close together. So I'm going to select the 2 of them and say mesh, merge to center. I'm going to do that for all of them. Mesh, merge at center. And these ones here. Mesh, merge at center. I've got this one last one. Mesh, merge at center. Now they didn't merge. I'm not sure why, but it's okay. I'm going to do it again, select the top one and the bottom one, and then mesh merge. Instead of at center, I'm going to merge at last because that's where I want them to be. Same thing here. Mesh merge at last. Same thing. Well, those merged. Weird. And those merged. So 2 of them worked and 2 of them didn't. I can't say I'm 100% why. I can't say 100% why, but the idea is there. Next thing I'm going to do is I want this to be a pretty uniform. So I'm going to select the top 2 and bring them down. Just so that I have 4 faces that are relatively the same. So now we want to go through and we want to do the same thing with a 5-sided die. I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to go ahead and try and make a D10. 5-sided die. So we're going to start off with a 4-sided die. Sorry, a 6-sided die, but we have to modify this into 5 sides. Easiest way to do that is to go ahead and come into edit mode and use our loop cut. I'm going to put a loop cut right here in the middle. I'm going to move this out. So that gives me 5 sides. Now they aren't perfect, right? But they are going to be close. And the next thing I'm going to do is select the top 2 faces, mesh, merge at center. And then delete the bottom 2 faces. So this is my 5-sided die. I've got these 2 faces here that are connected. I'm going to go ahead and delete those as well. And that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 5th side that is open. Just like we did on the D4, I'm going to select an edge. I'm going to extrude that edge off. And then I'm going to select the 2 vertexes on the edge and the vertex that I want to merge them to, and mesh merge to last, or at last. And that gives me 5 sides. Now, currently, those 5 sides are not really the same spacing. I'm going to try to eyeball it pretty well. I want them all to be about the same shape. So I'm going to start by making this one 1 unit. So you can see that there's 1 box there. And then I can make this one 1 unit. And then I can make this one 1 unit here. And then this one could go here to be 1 unit. So now I have 4 edges that are all 1 unit. I just got to figure out how to rotate them so that they fit. So I'm going to go to my edge selection. So once I've got it as 1 unit, I can rotate it and it will maintain its shape. It's modifying the other shapes, but for the most part, this is going to give me kind of what I want. Maybe not. I'm not sure that gave me what I wanted, but we're getting close. Hit F3 to go to the top view. I'm going to put this directly on the top. We're just going to move these around so that we get kind of the generic pentagon shape that we want. All right, so we've got the pentagon shape. It looks kind of tall. We can fix that just by moving this down. And then the same thing we did with the D8. And you go into object mode or press 4 on our keyboard. Control D for duplicate. And then we're going to scale it inverted. And you can see up in the upper left when you're scaling. When I'm scaling it, I want you to look up here. And you can see that as I'm scaling it, it's telling me kind of the percentage that I'm scaling it. So this is twice as big. This is 3 times as big. And if I go to -1, then it shows me that it's flipping it in the negative direction. So I've done that. I've made it as close to -1 as I could. And now I'm going to move it down until I can snap the vertexes. I am going to object join. I'm going to select the vertexes and mesh merge at last. Mesh merge at last. Rinse and repeat that until you get all the way around. And then the last thing I'm going to do is grab these 2 corners and scale them in so that it looks a little bit more proportional. Now this is one thing about 3D modeling, certainly in this class. A lot of it is just about, does it look good? It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing ever has to be perfect. It just has to look good enough to where it feels like it belongs where it does. So we have a 4-sided die here. We have a 6-sided die here, and I guess maybe I should switch those. Then I have an 8-sided die and a 10-sided die. Because it's a Dungeons & Dragons dice set, probably I'm going to duplicate my 10-sided die just because I think that's the right way to do it. And that is going to give me my percentile dice because those things work so well together. So now all I have to make is the D12, which is a 6-sided, 6 on either side, and then a D20, which is a little bit more intense to make. So we're going to have you make the D12. It's the same process as the D10 and the D8. You just get 6 sides, make sure they're all equal, and then duplicate them and flip it. That's one way, I guess. Another way to do it is there's like a octagonal side, or a hexagonal side, I think. Yeah, hexagonal side. You can do it either way if you want to look at a D12 and try to make it that way. But the D12, 6 on either side would work for me for this project. So that's what we're looking at, and that's the assignment. And this is more or less how you do it. If you have trouble on the D20, I just want you to make notes about it and figure out what's going on and submit that in the reflection to this project that we're going to have. And you'll talk about kind of what you tried and what happened and what failed. And that'll be another submission. So that's everything for this week. We're just modeling the dice, and then we will go from that. So we'll see you in the next videos.